Hey guys, this is Dr. Jean-Guy, and today I'd like to come to you. We're like 4 weeks away maybe from starting school. And one of the frequent asked question from parents and people that are texting me or emailing me or communicating with me, people that I see at the office, is always like, hey, what can we do for our kids? Whether we're going to do virtual school and they're going to have a babysitter, or whether they're going to go back to school face-to-face, what can we do to make sure that they have a strong immune system from a nutritional point of view? So today I come to you to share some of the wisdom for you to know what needs to be done with the kids, right? And again, I want to kind of give you a perspective of we already know about, if you haven't been around, this COVID thing, right? I mean, I think probably most of you have been around, so you know a little bit about COVID. But one thing that we do know is this is not really a disease of kids. And, so our children could have it. However, right, oftentimes they don't even have symptoms and they just like plow right through that. So anyway, right, how can we just keep everybody strong, our children? And today the goal and the purpose is to focus on the children, on the kids. How can the kids have a strong immune system and what can they do? So number one is we want to try to steer away from the standard American diet. What that means is we want to stay away from cake, cookies, candies, ice cream, bread, rice, and pasta. If you've been around, you've heard this from me many times, right? So that's number one. We want them to eat as much like raw food as possible, having some good protein, some good fat, right? Having some, if you do animal meat, make sure that you have like grass-fed beef, or having, free cage, eggs, and, same thing with the chicken. And then if you were to have some, let's say, seeds and nuts, so those are good protein, good fat, and then having some fruits and vegetables. And I know sometimes it can be a challenge, a struggle, but that would be like the ideal situation, is to have fruits and vegetables, protein and fat at every meal. So that would be number one, right? Number two on the list is you want those kids to be like, to get plenty of movement. If they're going to do virtual school and they're going to be at home, or maybe if they're going to go to school, right, they might not get a whole lot of movement because we're trying to confine them and have them sit for a long period of time, and just sending them home. So, the strategy for that is we want those kids to get plenty of movement. And this is really important for their brain, right? Just so you understand that mechanically what's feeding your brain is proper motion into your joint, especially from your spine. Right? So Dr. Jean-Guy is a chiropractor, in case you did not know that, right? I'm also a nutritionist, but I am a big fan of movement and making sure that a kid's spine is moving properly, because, right, when your spine is moving properly, it allows your brain to get fed. So the output of your brain is completely dependent of what's going in, especially from the joints of your spine. And I don't want to get too far deep into this, but I want you to have a good understanding why it's important for kids to move, why it's important for kids to play, why it's important for kids to have their spine checked and spine adjusted if need be. And then last but not least that I want to talk to you about today is what should we be, is there any food supplements that we can do to help those kids to make sure that they have a strong immune system? So there's a few things that if you've been around, you've heard me talking about, but one of the first thing that I would do is I would make sure that they're having fish oil. And fish oil is, in our office, is we use this thing here. It's called, this is a chewable form of fish oil. And then the reason why we're using fish oil is because fish oil, number one, is a natural anti-inflammatory. That's number one. Number two is there's all the cells there is in your body, they're all made out of those omega-3 fatty acid, every cells of your body. And it's good for your eyes, it's good for your heart, it's good for your immune system, right? So it's good for a lot of different things. And also it is good for learning, because if those kids have a bunch of fat in their body, good fat, then it's going to help their cognition, right? So we already know that through research. Number two is, as we're getting into the fall and there's less sun, we also want to make sure that we're giving them some vitamin D, right? I want to tell you a little bit about vitamin D. Vitamin D is like no secrets to most people, but kids need vitamin D as well. When you buy vitamin D, one of the things that you should try to steer away from, that I see frequently, is people buy vitamin D and under the other ingredient, there's like, 5, 6, 10 different things in there that they're unwanted. They should not go into your kid's body or into your body. Same thing with the fish oil. The fish oil, in order to have quality fish oil, right, you got to make sure the fish oil is molecular, distill, or pharmaceutical grade. one of those two things or both. And then we also have this other thing called the Congoplex that we use in our office. Congoplex, they're chewable, and the kids can just chew them. And it would also help, their immune system to function at optimal potential. And then last but not least is we have a whole food multivitamin / mineral, because we want to give the body the raw material that it needs in order to be able to function, at peak performance, at peak potential. So once we combine this, right, that you have kids that are moving enough, that are having the raw material, the right food, right, then you can optimize how the immune system functions. So I've shared this in other videos before, but it's worth sharing to you parents that are watching this right now. Is everybody right now is focusing on like, hey, you got to wear your gloves and you got to wear your mask and we got to wait for this vaccine. We're going to be saving everybody with the vaccine and all of that. What I want to say to you is we don't know when that's going to happen. We all talk about stuff from the outside in. And what I say to you is we got to focus on how can we make this body stronger, right? Your body and your kid's body stronger. So if you were to be affected or infected by COVID-19 or any other viruses, guess what? Would you be in a better place to overcome it? What do you think? Right? So this idea of like having your gloves and your mask and, whatever you choose to do, right? This is your choice. What I want to say to you, what nobody talks about is nobody talks about how can we make ourselves stronger and better. So if this is happening to us or one of us in the family, how can we overcome it better? So that's my whole point. How can we overcome it better? There's things that we know naturally that will enhance how your immune system functions. We already know that if you have a whole bunch of sugar, the immune system is going to be suppressed. We already know that. But yet nobody talks about that, right? We only talk about, we're waiting for the magic pill. We're waiting for the, the triple layer gloves or triple layer mask, whatever that is. But we're not talking about what can we do to ourselves. And I want to make sure that you know this is available for you, for your family, for your friends, for people you love and care about. Is like, what can you do to make sure that if it was to happen to you or somebody you love and care about, how can their body be ready to handle it? Right? So that's the message today, and I want to give you some hope, right? That's the message. That number one, it's not an if, that's when, and when it does happen, right? How can we make sure that your body's strong enough that we can overcome that? So, the whole goal today was to focus on the kids, and I just want to make sure those kids are being cared for because those kids are our future, right? And they need to have an environment where they can learn, whether they're going to go to school or they're going to be at home. Those kids, they need to move. They need to have a nervous system that functions properly. They need to have the proper raw material. And when they do have that, then they're going to function at a much higher level. So hopefully this was helpful to you, and we'll see you soon. Take care.